Hi, my name is Lawson Priest, an Enlist field specialist with Corteva AgriSciences. Today we're going to focus on sprayer setup and how to be successful with Enlist herbicides this growing season. First thing I wanted to touch on was selecting the best nozzle for an Enlist herbicide application. There are a lot of approved nozzles for Enlist herbicides. We just received an additional 100 with our new registration. Some of the key ones I want to focus on today are the TJet AIXR, AI, AITTJ, or the Greenleaf TDXL nozzle. These nozzles really provide the optimal coverage for weed control and mitigate the production of driftable fines for off-target movement. We also have nozzles like the Wilger nozzles that can be used with the Wilger or aim command or exact apply systems on other application equipment. Now, if you're going to use a nozzle like a TTI nozzle that produces an ultra coarse droplet spray, we really want to be at the high end of the pressure range on those nozzles that is found on the Enlist label and at Enlist.com. By increasing your pressure, you're going to increase your coverage and likewise weed control. There's a few key things to keep in mind when applying Enlist herbicides. Some of these revolve around sensitive area buffers. Sensitive areas include wooded areas, pastures, roadside ditches, and lawns. So when you're applying Enlist herbicides near these areas and the wind direction is blowing towards like a wooded area, pasture, or a lawn, we have to leave a 30-foot downwind buffer in the field. These sensitive area buffers do not translate to protection from susceptible crops like non-Enlist cotton. There's different recommendations we'll get into on the next slide. So when should you spray Enlist herbicides when you're in a diverse cropping system? In the scenario on the field, we have trees, Roundup Ready corn, Liberty Link soybeans, and tomatoes all planted around an Enlist soybean field. In this scenario, the wind's blowing from the north to the south at 3 to 10 miles an hour, so from the top to bottom of your screen. Now, since the wind is blowing towards Liberty Link soybeans, which is a non-sensitive crop for Enlist herbicides, an Enlist herbicide application can be made in this scenario. Now, use caution when wind direction is blowing parallel to sensitive crops like tomatoes or non-Enlist cotton. If there's a wind direction change during the application and it changes towards a susceptible crop, then we need to stop spraying and wait for the wind direction to move away from the susceptible crop. There's no buffers required between Enlist soybeans and other soybean technologies, and as long as the wind is blowing away from tree lines, we are fine to apply Enlist herbicides. So let's talk about what happens when you finish spraying an Enlist herbicide. Well, we really want to start before we mix Enlist herbicides. We need to start with a clean sprayer before we mix Enlist herbicides. That will ensure that we're able to clean Enlist herbicides out of the tank when we're finished spraying. We need to check things like hoses, screens, filters, pumps, and dead end on booms to make sure there's not residue buildup prior to spraying Enlist herbicides and after spraying Enlist herbicides. When you finish spraying Enlist herbicides, make sure to clean the sprayer immediately. Do not let the sprayer sit overnight. There's a triple rinse procedure that's detailed on Enlist.com. It's a thorough procedure that shows you a step-by-step scenario on how to clean out your spray equipment. Make sure also to take in mind to clean out any other materials that's used to transport Enlist herbicides or mixtures to the field. There's also an application guide that can be found on Enlist.com. This is a step-by-step guide that can be used that covers things like application window, tank mix partners, nozzles, sprayer contamination, and environmental conditions that we all need to be aware of when we plan to apply Enlist herbicides. Here at the end, I want to reference you to Enlist.com. Enlist.com has a ton of resources regarding all of the things we've talked about today and more. Those can be found at Enlist Ahead, which is tab on the Enlist.com website. There's also a tank partner list, or you can go to EnlistTankMix.com. Things like product use guides, application guides, tank mix sequence, and additional literature pieces can be found at Enlist.com and will ensure that you're well educated to make a successful Enlist application and receive great weed control and keep everything on target.